Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. With the launch of Verdansk coming up here ever so soon, we have recently been going back and reliving some classic Warzone 1 gameplay, and yet again here today I want to dive into some old school Verdansk so we can relive this map yet again as we approach the launch of it. This time though, we have some OG Modern Warfare 2019 gameplay using one of the most iconic OG meta loadouts of all time. You guys will see it once we obviously pick up our loadout crate in game. Starting off here in Superstore though, we got the FAL on the ground loot. I know y'all, this is actually so old school. We have the knocked icon in the feed too, which is crazy. You have the actual like knocked down revive icon. That wasn't always a thing, you know, beyond the first initial bit of Warzone, which is kind of crazy how that's evolved. But yeah, I know y'all remember that FAL. That used to be ground loot and it could fry up close. It could fry at 50, 60 meters. The FAL meta where you could build it as a rifle or an SMG. That was crazy. But of course we got the Superstore drop. No surprise there. We're playing with the classic crew. We got Lazy, we got Espresso, we got Butters. We got the little Bison ground loot too. I don't know what that guy's game plan was entirely. Maybe he was trying to find the self-checkout. You never know. I will say, you look back at this version of Superstore, this lighting is tough. I mean, this is why things like the rose skin, I gotta hit a reload, and there was definitely a player wearing bright purple, or bright purple, colors are hard, bright green, walking through the dark, but the lighting in here, obviously we all look back and it's like, oh, Superstore, one of the classic, I'm the only one up, but I got the clutch gene in me, and the game's just starting. We look back and Superstore is one of the most like iconic, classic POIs, right? And it's like, wow, this interior, a little tough. We got the third party going on. Those were two different teams. And I stood the test of time. I outlived them all. Unfortunately, the squad was not as lucky, right? But hey, hot start. We obviously have 150 players back on this version of Verdansk. And based on everything we know so far at the time that I'm recording this, not exactly sure when this video is going up, but we obviously are testing out 150 on Urzikstan here in BO6 Warzone, and presumably Verdansk is coming back 150 as well, which is, I think, the best way to go about it. You have big map, which can play a little bit slower, a little bit more strategic, especially if that's your style. You can land accordingly, land on the outskirts, follow the zone in. But at the same time, if you're more of an aggressive player, you want the action, you want the chaos. With 150 on the big map, you can absolutely string together squad fight, squad fight, squad fight, that at least in this day and age now where third parties are just absolutely insane, you can always count on that happening as well. So 150 I think is the way to go. It obviously played fantastic back here on Verdansk. I feel like with 120, if they were to ever drop down to that, boy, that would make Verdansk's pacing just be real awkward. But like I said, never mind, this guy wants to interrupt everything. He's just posted up here, bro. This guy's waiting. He was hoping someone was coming to the spy station. We're revisiting one of the most iconic classic OG meta loadouts here in preparation for the return of Verdansk and some leaks that have surfaced recently. We'll see it here as soon as our physical loadout crate stops burning because someone threw a Molotov on it. This guy's got all the strats. I'm gonna sit on the heady, wait for them to come out, then I'm gonna throw Molotovs. Jordan just absolutely fried the man with the C4. This was back when the C4 meta was crazy as well. But as you can see, the loadout we are rocking is the CR56 AMAX and the MP5, a classic option. Now, obviously, again, at the time that I'm recording this, we haven't seen any official reveals for Verdansk or for Season 3 yet. It's quite possible that by the time this video is posted, we see some of that stuff, but all the leaks, all the rumors that we've had initially for Verdansk indicate things like the Kilo, the Grau, and the AMAX returning, and I figured, why not go back, see what's in my little bank of old gameplays, and if I can find any of those meta options, we'd rock a gameplay with it and look at it here in our little nostalgia trip that we've been going on for a bit now. And this AMAX loadout, I mean, as you can see, the VOK 3 times. This used to be a high recoil gun too, which is crazy because you compare this, that's an unfortunate timing there. I peek it, they're not looking down this lane, and then Lazy peeks it and they start looking down the lane. But the AMAX used to be a high recoil option. We obviously got the MP5. We almost have the alternative to this here in BO6 Warzone 2. That's an insane help from Jordan Espresso. I wonder if I would have won that gunfight without the help shots there, because I mean the AMAX had the potential to fry. But yeah, this is a loadout that we kind of could have the equivalent of. If the AMAX returns, then obviously that's back just straight up. Like, that's insane. I'm getting double kills like it's nothing. And then the MP5, kind of like the C9 right now, of course. So we already kind of could see this version of this OG meta loadout back when Verdansk in Season 3 returns, if obviously the leaks come to fruition and depending on what they drop with the seasonal weapons. The C4, man, I low-key, I kind of miss the C4 being so crazy. There were certainly instances where it was pretty overpowered. It was pretty wild because you could launch it so far. Like, you could throw a Semtex far, you could throw a frag far, a thermite far. You could also launch a C4 pretty ridiculous distances, and it was strong. It could one-hit vehicles. So like someone driving an SUV up on you or something, I got the C4, I'm not even worried. That's why the trophy system strat, where you'd throw a trophy on top of the SUV or your car, drive around because you knew someone was chucking thermites or C4 at you. You had to be ready for that. But you could counter car plays with the C4. You could do what I did there, where I know that guy's posted up in that little you know, shack area. I chuck a C4, he's got no chance. The thing just is absolutely insane. Like I said, I kind of miss it. Also though, if I was the guy in that shack, or if I was the guy driving the car and I didn't have a trophy system, yeah, I don't think I'd be talking so highly of the C4 all this time later, right? But I've always been a fan, so I was happy it was so strong for a while. Now though, I mean, I don't remember the last time we saw C4 really in use, or really anything but knives and like Semtexes. Occasionally we get that overpowered thing. The gas nades, for instance, now have been kind of hot, but there was a lot of options for counterplay with equipment back in Warzone 1. I think that's honestly something that's kind of lacking nowadays, because it is a little bit more obvious, a little bit more straightforward. This is still when you can live ping the kings on the map too, so that's obviously been a thing that's been in and out in Warzone in the past, where you couldn't see the exact live movements of them. That made most wanteds back in the day way more difficult. You could live ping and know exactly, okay, this guy's moving left to right, he's counter strafing, he's probably going to peek this window or that door or whatever, right? Crazy. Poor guys, they got no idea what's coming. The AMAX is just going to fry, bro. The VLK 3 times. I wasn't even using the T-pose reticle at this point in time. That wasn't even like a big thing that we focused on, was going after certain reticles for even more you know, optimization of your loadout and better visibility and helping out the recoil, at least visually, right? We got these guys all dropping in over on the apps, on the blocks. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, oh, this poor guy. I mean, looking at a fight like this, yeah, the recoil's there compared to something like a Kilo or a Grau, but that wasn't that difficult of a fight. I wasn't mounted up. I wasn't really doing anything special, and I don't know why that guy never, you know, reacted to me shooting him on the ladder. He just said, nope, I'm committed. We're going to the top, and now you're going to the Gulag. So that backfired. But the AMAX back in the day, at least when it first dropped, before everyone was like, okay, yeah, this is the definitive meta, as they adjusted other guns, the AMAX was, you know, strong like it is now in this video, but it was a gun that certain players didn't look to because it was a high recoil option. When you could use something like the Kilo or the Grau, it wasn't really, you know, an option for some players. They'd rock the Grau and it would not move when you shot it. You'd rock the Kilo, it would not move at all. You switch over to the AMAX, it's bouncing up a lot more. People weren't really huge fans of it. If you knew what you were doing with it though, I mean, yeah, they just didn't really stand a chance. These are guys on headies walking behind dumpsters or loadout crates, and I'm frying them like it's nothing. We got 13, 14 already with 67 up, and then this guy, who knows what his plan was, posted up in the grass behind the fight. Also, we got the OG Gulag. Have we? I know we've obviously spectated a couple of games here already, classic gameplays on the channel in the recent weeks. I can't remember if we've had the classic Gulag in a gameplay yet. We played Haunting of Verdansk, which didn't have a Gulag because that was like the resurgence style. We looked at a couple of other gameplays. I think it was during the Cold War era though. I can't remember if we had the Prison Goo. Obviously, with Prison returning and Verdansk returning, we should have this Gulag back as well. Classic, easy, straightforward. You know the lines of sight, you know the angles. Depending on the audio, you never really know with COD if it's going to be dependable or not. But we got the dub in there, up to 15 kills with 61 remaining already. So this is good pacing for a gameplay back in the day. And if I was doing this on Urzikstan now with like 120 players, at least when that was the main thing, you know, I would be like, wow, I might break a record here, right? Because 120, I mean, that drop off is just crazy. But we got the regain going. Easy to do, obviously, because your loot doesn't disappear into the world the second it hits the ground or anything. And now we got the long rotation. It looks like it's going to be headed across the airfield. Oh, the Geo. I will say, I don't miss that. A lot of times in Warzone now, it is a lot easier to navigate up awkward rocks like this. Hopefully with the updates that they've done to Warzone gameplay and just the core mechanics and world interaction in the years since Verdansk, that's not going to be as much of an issue, but that is something I remember so much of that would just infuriate me back in the day. I'm mounted on a tree. These guys have no chance if I'm hitting shots with the AMAX. That's just unfair at that point. But I remember back in the day, the Geo. You'd get to certain parts in this map where it was a rocky hill in front of you, and it was just a complete gamble as to whether or not you were making it up. Your teammate might make the jump and get a mantle. You might not. The zone just might catch up to you because you couldn't move up. Oh, we got the stun meta out too. I'm using a heartbeat sensor. Crazy. That used to be an equipment. It wasn't even a field upgrade. It used to be an equipment, and it was really strong during this era of Warzone 2, hence why I'm rocking it. But those poor guys, they're getting stunned. They're posted up on a hillside with minimal cover. I'm mounted on a tree with an AMAX. I mean, that's just the perfect storm for us and the worst storm for them. But yeah, the Verdansk Geo, I'm really curious to see how smooth, or on the contrary, how buggy it could be when it returns here. Because like I said, in recent years with certain maps like Al-Mazraq, Urzikstan, etc., the Geo climbing has definitely been better. It's not perfect by any means. There's still situations you get into and it's like, man, I could jump up this little ledge in real life and I'm not even that athletic, right? Like, I could do this, I could get up this. But in Verdansk, it was a different level of infuriating just because certain slopes were so awkward it wouldn't count as you actually mantling over something or grabbing onto something, and it cost people games. It cost me games. I certainly remember that, just being in a rage going, why can't I mantle up this rock? It's 2 feet tall. But hopefully it's better now, given everything we've got going on in Warzone and the advancements that we've seen over the years. But again, we just got a long rotation here. I assume we're going to be picking up this car and driving over, hopefully, to some more action. I couldn't tell you why, but no, we didn't grab the car. I'm not sure what the game plan was, but we decided to run across the field. We got the UE popped though, and we know this team is now posted up in village here in this building. But luckily, we got all the tools required to breach here. I got 2 C4, I got a heartbeat sensor. This was the play back in Verdansk. If someone was posted in a building and you had this on your loadout, you were set, you were good. You had all the confidence in the world. That guy was not on the radar, but I have a C4, so it didn't really matter. He shot for a split second. I chucked a C4 in his direction. It wasn't a problem. Oh, that little MP5 hip fire too is crazy. The self-revive icon, super loud and obvious. I don't know why I didn't reload before pushing this upper room. Again, I look back at these gameplays now and I'm so critical of my gameplay and my approach to things. It's like, why would I not think of that in the time? Meanwhile, a Discord call is like, there's a guy upstairs, there's a guy upstairs, left building, right building. That guy was patient. It didn't pay off. I'm out of C4 though. My worst nightmare back in Warzone 1, being out of C4. He's got an RPG? Hey, I respect the play. I respect the crackhead energy, because those were also crazy back in Warzone 1. We don't even see launcher plays anymore. If you're using a launcher in Warzone now, it's purely for the shenanigans. It's purely for fun. Back when Warzone first started, the RPG was a legitimate part of a loadout. You could rock an M4 and an RPG, and it was actually like a meta option. Like, this was back when the game first dropped, so there wasn't really true metas. Everyone was testing things out and experimenting with stuff. But like, the RPGs used to be absolutely insane back in the day, bro. They could blast into a room, destroy a whole squad. They were taking out Berthas, every vehicle possible. I don't know if I liked it or not. I think that's a C4 thing where it's like, hey, if you're the one using it and you get that crazy kill with it, it's your favorite thing in the world. If you're trying to drive along and someone sends an RPG into your SUV, you're probably not as thrilled about the RPG being that strong, right? I feel like, again, I'm all over the place. And again, with these nostalgic gameplays where I don't have to play, we can just analyze. I get to yap about my favorite Warzone experiences, but all these gameplays we've been reacting to here on the channel, which you guys have shown crazy support on, by the way. I do appreciate all the love on the videos, especially these ones where we're going back and reliving the nostalgia here. If you guys enjoy this stuff, obviously be sure to drop a like, because we're frying another squad that's posted up in a building. Although I don't have C4s for this push, but if you guys enjoy the video, obviously like rating, seriously appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, obviously with the Verdansk coming up, we got a lot of very exciting stuff on the horizon. Be sure to hit that sub button, turn on those post notifications. We're climbing closer and closer to 1 million. These guys in this building are climbing closer and closer to going back to the main menu. But yeah, I feel like with all these gameplays we've been spectating, they all end up in this area up by Quarry. I don't know why that is. The zone pulse, crazy bias towards this this top right portion of the map. These poor teams though, like, I feel like these are fights we don't necessarily win as much of anymore, or that are that common. If a team is posted up in a building now, they have so many tools. Mainly it's just because the mine meta in Warzone right now is crazy. I feel like every time I walk into a building, there's 2 hazard mines and 2 Bettys in every other doorway, right? But now, like, we had no cover. We're on this hillside with just trees. This team's got windows and buildings and everything to cover, and we just pushed them and wiped them like it was nothing. Such a different style of gameplay in an era of, I don't know, maybe ignorant confidence, blissful confidence. I don't know if that's the way to describe it, but hey, it worked off. We got 23 with 26 up now. So we had what? I had like 15 with 60 up, and now I've got 23 with 26. So the pacing fell off as we had to rotate across the entire map. We didn't take an SUV for whatever reason, but hey, still in a good pace here at 23. Whole team rotating in from out of zone 2. And now the script has flipped. We were the team rotating in against this building with all the cover in the world. The team in the building completely flopped and sold. And now we've got the cover. This team's rotating in with essentially just one building and a bus to cover them. I have a feeling I know how this is going to play out. I might not even be involved in this fight. I'm late to the party. Fashionably late, of course. Always. I had to make sure the boots were clean. 6 C4, Zach. Even better C4, Zach. What was... And then Lazy died from it? Oh my goodness. I can't believe I sold that hard. We might have to wipe this from our memory bank, folks. Just let's forget that this ever happened. That those C4s didn't actually get tossed. That Lazy's life there was not lost to my inability to pin a C4 through a bus window. I talked so highly about being able to do whatever I wanted with C4 earlier, and I've now accidentally humbled myself in the form of later gameplay. But nonetheless, we're good. We won. Lazy's back. He's alive, although the gas might be pushing him out a little bit faster. I am, however, once again out of C4. This is a crazy rotation. The fact that I guess it's because there's a helo up on that building that we were probably a little bit worried that someone was posted up there. 6 teams left, 5 that aren't us. We got pings for 2 of them. I think I just saw on that radar, and it looks like Jordan spotted people on the edge of the map here, but we're running through this open little hillside. We had apps and plenty of buildings on the left side of the street there on Lozov Pass. That was a much safer rotation. Oh, I got the sniper glint on the right. Yep, they're up there on the corner. That's another thing. I feel like sniper glint isn't as crazy anymore either. Maybe it's just people don't use scopes that have sniper glint anymore. Everyone's evolved past that. But back when everyone was using the HDR and the AX50, everybody had sniper glint. You used to see all those memes of what Modern Warfare 2019 on Euphrates Bridge, where it's just nothing but sniper glints, right? It's crazy that this AMAX was a high recoil gun and we're just beaming guys at 60, 70 meters like it's nothing. I think that's probably a culmination of things. This gun, all things considered, now not that high recoil like the AK and things of that nature. Way more high recoil now versus this was back then. But also guns back in this version of Warzone, the velocity was always crazy. You could have velos up over 1100, 1200, as opposed to now where it's like a lot of 950, 920, 970, unless you're going all in on certain velocity extending attachments. The ranges on guns, the drop off there is probably a little bit different. Obviously health all being a little bit shifted and whatnot. So there's a lot of things that factor into it, but that overall feel of dominance, like we have strong metas now. We had the XM4 and the Jackal and so on, and we've had various ones in different iterations of Warzone since, but there was just a level of dominance back in Warzone 1 that I think was both good and bad. The monopolized metas back in Warzone 1 were obnoxious, where it was, if you were using the AMAX, you won, and if you weren't using the AMAX, you lost, and if it was AMAX on AMAX crime, then it was a matter of who could control it more, or if you weren't using the FAL, you lost, if you weren't using the DMR, you lost. But now it's like, okay, you could use the Krig or the AK or the Goblin, and all of them are going to be close, so the feel of these guns being so dominant was awesome. The monopoly they had on the meta, probably not as good. So, you know, there's always pros and cons to these situations. 4 teams up, 3 that aren't us, 2 are right in front of us. Presumably it's going to be a solo king trying to get his boys back. I mean, the wall bang. Again, even when Urzikstan is built off paper mache and you can spray through everything, I just don't feel like I'm getting kills like that anymore. I just fried a guy through a doorway like it was nothing. This king, though, in the back, you know he's just playing calm, cool, collected. He doesn't want any business going on here. That's a risky push, given the fact that my armor was already depleted. I don't know why I didn't save that C4 for when I was closer. I could get it deeper into this actual room. But hey, despite our lack of awareness of the situation then, it paid off. That guy had a crazy angle, though. As I mentioned, that king was just lying in wait, hoping that we'd battle out, take each other out, and then he could just sit there and reap the rewards. He fried me, but obviously he knows there's multiple of us. He doesn't want to push into this close quarters building, although he absolutely had an opportunity to there when Hannah was rezzing. And then he gets fried. Hannah takes him out. Good plays. That's the king gone. I just heard footstep audio for the first time in forever. He's got a self, though. He gets up. I don't know why he just decided to full send charge it in, but he did, and it didn't pay off, as it usually doesn't. They're rezzing outside. We got the comms. Man, revives were so audible in this version of Warzone. They keep saying like there's self-revive pings and that little like sound plays when someone selfs. I feel like I don't really hear it that often. It happens at times, but things were so obvious in this version of Warzone. Reviving, you could hear them stab their teammate. The selfs with the loud ping. You knew what was going on around you with your surroundings at all times. Now it's just complete gamble. Is the audio lying to me? Am I hearing things? What's going on? This is a pretty wild end game though. 3 versus 4. We got 3 people up. They got 4. I've got 28 kills, pushing for 30. And they've got the only solid cover left in this zone. One little building, and we've got nothing but trees, rocks, and hillsides. Guys, slow peeking. We're hoping that this zone is just going to be a friendly pull to us. Lazy gets the nice entry frag, and the zone does pull to us, which, I mean, in a situation like this, you're pretty much just hoping you can get a crazy entry frag as the other team here, because you've got an absolutely awful rotation here through nothing but an open field where we're posted up. And with the AMAX TTK, if you're peeking and getting hit, you don't have much of a chance. Safe to say. And this is why this meta back in the day was so good, and why everyone was always rocking the AMAX, especially when the Kilo and the Growl weren't as good in other seasons, and this thing was crazy strong. Oh, if you could control the recoil, you were set. This is one of my all-time favorite loadouts. The Growl will always be my favorite gun. I don't know why they decided to single file push out in an orderly fashion, but hey, we'll take it. The Growl is my all-time favorite gun though. The AMAX though just had a feel to it, and that, folks, is yet another nostalgic OG Warzone gameplay with one of the greatest meta loadouts to ever exist. Nice little 30 bomb as well. Hoping to push for a few of those in Warzone here when Verdansk returns as well. But that being said, that is going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed this video, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, you want to guarantee that on a daily basis, you are in the know for everything going on in COD, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.